They trained us to celebrate fake grades. They said this will prepare you for life, and we believed them because we were young, and belief comes easy before the bills do. Classrooms smelled like dust and surrender, chalk, fear, an old man who already lost and wanted company. They taught us how to follow instructions without understanding them, how to wait, how to ask permission to breathe. And later, surprise, we were very good at it. We became assistants to people dumber than us, servants with clipboards, smiling help for the advantaged, holding doors open for inherited confidence. They called it a career. Some of us put on uniforms because obedience translates well to war. March here, shoot there. Don't think too much about who profits when the smoke clears. They didn't teach us how to judge, only to comply. So we learned fast how to kill on command, and slow how to live with it. Others of us ended up broke, not the romantic kind, the real kind. The kind where talent rots on night shifts, and genius pours coffee for people who say, I almost did something once. Poverty isn't just empty pockets. It's exhausted minds. It's having no energy left to imagine a way out. They never taught us how to imagine, just how to endure. And that was the trick. Education that doesn't awaken doesn't fail by accident. It produces silence. It produces debt. It produces citizens who confuse survival with living. They broke promises early, said knowledge was power, then hid power behind doors that we weren't taught to open. Said think for yourself, then punished us when we tried. Abuse of trust, over and over, over and over, until mistrust feels normal and apathy feels safe. By the time we noticed, we were tired, too tired to ask why the world felt stalled, why the same idiots kept winning, why nothing ever changed except the price of rent and the body count. That's how humanity doesn't grow up, not with a bang, but with worksheets, dead lessons, and a quiet agreement not to rock the boat that's already leaking. Some of us get beaten so hard that we woke up anyway. Some of us feel the rage under the numbness, realize the boredom was a warning, not a flaw, realize the betrayal wasn't personal, it was structural. And once you see it, you're responsible. No diploma can save you now. No excuse either. You either keep kneeling in cubicles and trenches and lines for food and meaningless approval, or you stand and learn like your life depends on it. Because it does. Think, question, unlearn the obedience, and teach yourself what matters, become dangerous to systems that need you small. Rise, not polished, not perfect, but awake, until we stop producing servants, stop feeding wars, stop mistaking misery for maturity. Rise, until humanity finally does what it should have learned the first time: how to grow up. Let's stop lying. You knew something was wrong when you memorized the answers you didn't believe and called it learning. You knew when curiosity felt dangerous, when silence felt safer, when passing mattered more than understanding. You knew, and you played along. That's the part no one likes to say out loud. Pretending to learn isn't harmless. It isn't neutral. It doesn't just waste time. It trains you to accept things you don't understand and defend them anyway. That's how servants are made. Not with chains, with credentials. You write your shitty little resumes and end up working for people who can't think, but learned how to advance. You take orders that feel wrong, but sound official. You tell yourself, this is just how it is, while something in you rots quietly. And when the uniform comes, military, corporate, ideological, you put it on so easily, because you've been rehearsing obedience since childhood. Wars don't run on monsters. They run on graduates who never learned how to say no to authority with a straight face. Poverty doesn't just come from lack of money. It comes from lack of agency, from never being taught how to think your way out instead of waiting to be rescued. This is where it gets real ugly. Every time you pretend to learn, you help keep the machine alive. Every time you pass without caring, you pass the damage forward. Every time you confuse compliance with competence, you weaken the future. Bridges collapse, systems fail, people die, not because no one was educated, but because too many were trained instead. This is how civilizations decay. Experts who never questioned, leaders who never thought, citizens who never practiced judgment, until it was too late. And please, don't hide behind youth. Don't hide behind exhaustion. Don't hide behind, I didn't know. How was I supposed to know? At some point you did. Yes, you did. Once you see the emptiness, pretending becomes a choice. That's the choice that comes with all the consequences. You don't get to inherit everything others bled for, science, rights, fragile progress, and then sleepwalk through it without breaking it. That's the deal. That's the cost. Those are the consequences. You're ruining the future. Either you learn for real, messy, uncomfortable, without permission, sitting in a library with AI on your phone, or you help to destroy what you were never brave enough to understand. You start by asking childish questions. What is programming? What is a programming language? How do I learn programming? Where do I put the code in? JavaScript, web browser, press F12, ask AI for some sample code. And then move on to philosophy. You learn about philosophers, and then you befriend them. You argue with them. To understand what you're reading, you have to become friends with the author. And you have to get mad. In art class, when the teacher keeps babbling about art styles, focus on the projector above her head. How you could use that to project an outline on a canvas and then have access to the perfect colors and the perfect shapes and learn from there. Camera obscura. Your teacher doesn't even know what's above her head. Stop faking it. Don't fake it anymore. Don't sit quietly while your mind goes soft. Don't nod along while the world asks for judgment and you offer credentials. The GPA is as fake as your grades and as fake as your education and as fake as the future that builds on top of all that. Stand up. Think hard, like all the great beings before you. Risk being wrong or sounding childish. Risk being slow. Risk being alone. Because the alternative is not harmless. The alternative just leads to the collapse of the civilization, war after war, and pointless as they come. Rise. Not later, not when it's convenient, not at the end of the semester. Rise right now and become worthy of what you have been given. You have a duty to the future of humankind. You have to take what has been given to you, make it better, and pass it on forward. That means you have to learn to no end, to grow and all the way up until you become a great being. It's not as hard as it sounds. You take all the great narrated books written by great beings and go on hiking adventures. You become a great adventurer. The quest is our original school. You're not allowed to replace that with fake education. And please, never alone. Loneliness is as deadly as war. You're going to have to put an A-team together. First day of spring is a pretty good start on the Appalachian Trail. But you got to keep on trucking. The Pacific Crest Trail must come next, and then you have to cross the Continental Divide. That's how many books you have to read. Think about it this way. They replaced the quest with make-believe education to turn you into a servant. For those of you who like to ask who they are, it's a network of opportunists, people so desperate to achieve that they start feeding on each other. They're not super smart, but they'll tear you to pieces if you let them.